Today we finish off the story of the London Black Knights, who we took over for a period of 3 years, bringing them from a team with 0 players to a Super Bowl champion team, using only the NFL draft, almost at NBA there. And it was really quite the run here in season 3, ending off with a 42-0 Super Bowl victory, which is the second highest margin of victory in Super Bowl history. The San Francisco 49ers blew out the Broncos one year, 55-10. I would argue this might even be worse because it was a shutout. And so an absolutely dominant end to an absolutely dominant season for London. And rather than seeing this continue their dominance, year after year after year, we're just gonna go ahead and see a long-term sim, see where these players' careers end up, see how many players can be, career London Black Knighters, and we'll go from there. Starting off, I did not look at the yearly awards. At the end of last season, Lamar Jackson is your MVP. I think he's got a good chance to win it in real life this year too. That's coming from an Eagles fan whose quarterback is currently the favorite. But I think Lamar Jackson might end up with it by the time it's all said and done. Maybe even Dak, who's on a hot streak as well. And for the AFC, we got Jonathan Taylor, Offensive Player of the Year, Von Miller, Depoy, Deshaun Bishop, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Matt Bowman, DeRoy, Lamar, the best quarterback, Taylor, the best running back, no surprise. Teddy Watford of the Bills wins best receiver. Trey Smith is the best O-lineman. Von Miller, the best D-lineman. Josh Uche wins best linebacker for the Patriots. Interesting. Marlon Humphrey, best DB. And Ian Walker, best kicker. Now, NFC, our conference. Jalen Hurts wins Offensive Player of the Year over Doug Odom, just edging him out. Defensive Player of the Year. Also, we had a guy in second place. Tough. Rookie of the Year, Bullock's 5th place. He did miss some times. Gaffney only 2nd place. We're getting a lot of these bad breaks on these awards, man. We do get best receiver, though, thankfully, with Doug Odom. We had the 3rd and 4th best lineman, but couldn't get that number 1 spot. The 2 best defensive linemen are both in the Cowboys. Cowan wins best linebacker. Arnaud in 6th, and Randall in just behind him. Lattimore, best DB. We had 2 and 3, though. Really some bad luck, man. Dawson, only the 3rd best kicker, which is pretty outrageous. He's been the best kicker all 3 years of his pro career. And with that, we're ready to move on to the offseason here. We'll see if we get poached of either of our coordinators. Our coordinator trees aren't really filled out though, so I don't know if we will. Just a quick recap of the season in general here. Super Bowl MVP does go to Marcus Alford. Thought he might last episode. He had 180 yards and 2 touchdowns in the game. He was a baller. We gave the ball a lot because we were winning in that game a lot. So, got some player upgrades here. And just to tell you kind of what the format of this long-term sim is going to be, what I'm going to show you, basically, I'm going to show you all the player upgrades that I do. I'll save them all for the end of the season, each season. We'll go through them, and we will quick sim the playoff runs. We'll see how far we go in the playoffs. I'll also show you contract negotiations, and at least for the first portion, I'll be manually doing the 1st round pick. Maybe for this first year, I'll do the 2nd round pick because I kind of know this draft a little bit. But other than that, a lot of it's going to just be simulated. We're going to run through these regular seasons because we're going to have to go through a lot to get through these players' careers. They're all really young. We only did 3 seasons of the franchise, so it's going to take many years of simulation, especially for the guys that play forever, like quarterback, And so, that's the plan. We might even stop showing upgrades after a while, but at least to start out, I like to show how some of these players continue to progress throughout their careers. Here we have Doug Odom getting a nice little upgrade here. Lambert will do run stopper. there you have that. Got a lot of upgrades here. Kind of what happens when you win the Super Bowl, I guess, right? Wins. Not the best upgrade there. We'll go Cohen getting up to 85 overall, gets an ability slot. Bulldozer makes no sense for this player. Maybe Agile Extender will do. Fine. Gamble. Deep threat for him. Almost a scheme fit. Couple deep route and a release. Gaffney will keep his scheme fit. Gets a +1 to a bunch of things there. No +2s. Nance, do we finally get him up to 80 overall? No. Still no 80 overall. His development has come along very slowly, but he's a good, well-rounded player. I guess he'll take it. Meant to go down to power there, but it's fine. And everyone else here, since there's so many of them, we're just gonna do them automatically. So, I'll see you come the draft. Our fourth draft would consist of a grand total of just 2 players, but I think they are 2 pretty good players at that. Zay Hunter here, really good zone corner, and he's going to be playing safety for this team to basically replace that Dakota Rich role is what I want from him. 34 is fine. I don't really care about face mask and stuff since we won't see him play. Peter Olsen, also a player that we drafted to play a different position. He's gonna play left guard for us. His overall goes up by 1 here, but just an insanely fast player. And I always love those kind of players. Pass block and run block both in nice spots. Need to develop the power though for sure with Olsen. And then Hunter just kind of need to develop his tackling and stuff that you need from a safety that you don't need as much from a corner. But injury and stamina pretty rough for him. But he was the guy that was available. We didn't have a lot of picks in this draft. We were without our second, and we had to trade up for Olsen. So I just traded a bunch of day 4 picks to trade from the back half of the 3rd up to the top of the 3rd, or the very end, the last pick in the 3rd. And then we traded from pick 132 down to pick 210 to get a couple of those day 3 picks to trade up. So we'll have normal amounts of draft capital going forward. I just really wanted to get 1 player to each of these 2 positions, so I drafted those guys manually. If we had more picks, they would have been done by the CPU. We just didn't have more picks. So that is going to do it for this offseason. Not a lot of additions here. Not any subtractions though either. So a couple of additions to a Super Bowl team. You're feeling good. We've got our first batch of signings here. And some people want to come back more than others. A couple of people don't want to come back at all, so we might have to overpay a little bit. But let's get into it. Jamal Arnaud, I mean, the best player on the team. Got to have him back for sure. I'd like to see if he can maybe something like this, if he'd sign. And we've got Jamal Arnaud locked up for the next 6 years. Have to get your best player locked up. That's just a necessity. Keontae Simmons, maybe like a 5-year 100. He says yes. Defense is getting a lot more expensive now. Let's go to Doug Odom. Oh, what would it take to get somebody who has no desire to be here to say yes? Maybe a 5-year 100 as well? He says yes to that. 3 players to $20+ million contracts. All right. We'll do 478. Only $19.5 million there. Jeez, these are some expensive contracts. Michael Jackson doesn't want that much. The football player. What about this? Everybody's saying yes so far. We'll go with this. Christian Edwards says yes. Malik Vincent up next. My goodness, we are just churning through these bad boys. I guess we don't even need to. Let's do like a 4-year 56. All right. Bobby Lambert is the one. Do we overpay for Bobby Lambert? For Doug Odom, it was an absolute yes. Lambert's our edge too. I think if we do 2 years, if we pay him a lot for 2 years, would he say yes? No. Franchise tag might be the way for Bobby Lambert, if we're being honest. I just want to make sure there's nobody hidden back here. Like Jennings has been a starter for us, but he's now a backup. Ooh, Lucas Fowler hidden back here. I don't know why they're hiding him back here. He doesn't want to come back to us. I think for at least the next 2 years, we'll have cap space. So these guys that are more kind of in the maybe zone, 2 years are fine. So that we have some options left. But everybody else, don't really know if we have money to be spending money on backups at this point. There's going to be a lot of UDFAs. We're in the point of the franchise now where we're paying the core of our roster, and it's going to get expensive. As you can see here, we're also only 2-4. Not a good start to this season. So, got to turn things around in the second half. We would end up coming pretty close to turning things around, but still just an 8-9 record, which actually isn't turning it around that much. We won one more game than we lost for the rest of the year. But not great. Missing the playoffs after making the Super Bowl. Not a good look for us. So let's go ahead and take a look at our stats and see maybe what went wrong here. 3,600 yards, 30 touchdowns and 6 picks. Yardage wise, not, great middle of the pack as you saw there on the little preview, but touchdown to interception ratio wise is great. 1,200 yards, nearly 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns for Alford. No receiver over 1,000 is pretty rough. Odom did get 10 touchdowns though. Sacks wise, nobody in double digits. Like, that's fine. TFLs, 15 for Lambert, 13 for Gaffney, 10 for Randall. 11 for Randall, 10 for Owens. So our big four on our defensive line all had double digits TFLs. That's good. 11.5 sacks. Nobody else more than 5 though is pretty rough. Interceptions, nobody more than 2. So I think just the playmaking aspect of our defense just wasn't there this year. But was that bad enough to just say, no, we're not making the playoffs? Our corners, Torrance was 0 picks on the year. Sim stats on the corners is crazy. Like, Torrance is such a good interception guy, but it's just simming careers of corners is always rough, if you ask me. I think other positions, their sim stats tell you that how they were, but corner, you just never know. So that's it for season 4. We'll see what they draft. I'll do the upgrades now as well, but you gotta be pretty disappointed in year 4, I think. Let's get Jalen Randall up to 90 overall. Make him a little bit of a two-way player. We'll do a second one to run stopper and then maybe one to power rusher here, but gotta hope that this is the lone season that we don't make the playoffs, at least for the next little stretch. Might, if we have another bad year, need to change our sim playbook. It worked well for us, last season, but maybe it just doesn't sim well. I don't want to choose like the Cowboys because I feel like that playbook just always does well, even if your team isn't that good. No disrespect to the Cowboys roster, but they always overperform in Madden, it feels like. And so, one season, obviously not what we wanted it to be, but I'm not going to make any changes quite yet. Peter Olsen, our draft pick here. He needs a bunch of upgrades here. 2, his power would be what we're going to do for all 4 of his rookie season upgrades here. Good upgrades there. He's looking pretty good. Everything is either one away from 70 or at least 70 plus. Arnaud. It's another archetype to 90 overall. 99 overall, excuse me. I mean, look at that screen. This one doesn't look as good, but that's fine. Look at that screen. Everything's in the deep green. Insane pick. We'll go... Let's make Alfred a little bit more well-balanced, shall we? This is not an effort to keep his contract demands down, although that certainly wouldn't help. Certainly wouldn't hurt, is what I meant to say. Taking a look at where he stands now. Good player for sure. Just never been able to get past that normal dev, unfortunately. I want to get Gaffney here to 85 overall. And then we'll get him some run stuffing stuff as well. Almost to the point where he's going to get another one here. 89 power moves, 85 block shed. Looking good on him. So... here we go. Another season. Man, 8 and 9. Really. I feel like I didn't expect us to win the Super Bowl again because I felt like we why is Jamal Arnaud here again? Did I just forget to fully upgrade him? Boom, he is now triple 99s. One more look at this screen. Ah, beautiful. We'll go Simmons. We'll go hybrid a couple times, probably. 95 overall now for Simmons. Gets that final ability slot. That's a terrible ability, especially for a 95 overall player. Let's go with Deep Out KO. We'll do that. Let's do physical just because this is the lowest one here for Odom. Just signed a massive $20 million a year. Didn't even get 1,000 yards in his his contract year, but that's fine. Gowan. He is up to 90 overall now. And there you have it. Still a bunch more to go. $12 million for Nance. I think we're gonna not accept these 50-year options. I'd rather just get into the negotiations with these guys if I'm being honest. And so Bobby Lambert gonna try one more time to avoid the tag. He's gonna test out free agency. Yeah, right, buddy. Welcome to the tag. Again, 50-year options. I don't know. I think we'll decline that. Randy McCoy maybe finds a starting job elsewhere. Antoine Weber sucks to lose, but again, we can't really pay specialty / backups at this point in the franchise. I'm gonna start letting the CPU draft. I know at the beginning I said I might manually do first round picks for a little bit deeper. I think I just don't want to have to spend the time to really scout a draft to make the best pick. I'm gonna trust our scouts to make the picks for me. Let's see what they did in the year 5. I guess this would be our 5th draft, but the draft after year 4. draft 1, and they actually got us a pretty good looking receiver here. He's only normal dev, but 77 overall off rip. We've been kind of needing that third receiver, or maybe, you know, a second receiver if things get too expensive to keep a Paul Campbell here. So Trey Aragon could be the next big receiver for us. Also got us an end here, 73 overall, hidden development, and he is a 3-4 end, so he's already kind of in the right spot for us. Another receiver here, corner, halfback at 70, but I think a solid starting class for the CPU. And with that, we're ready to kick off year 5. Starting year 5 off here with the re-sign period. We've got another really big class. Things are about to get expensive here in London. Jalen Randall doesn't want to be here. But if we give you $200 million, is he a $200 million player? Doesn't matter because he doesn't want to come here for $200 million. Here's the thing about Tyson Cohen. The main reason he doesn't want to be here, and of course a mentor would help, but with his main one at red, it's just not going to do anything, unfortunately, with the game. We could change the scheme because I think he is a scheme fit. With quarterback, I don't think it's not like we're a bad scheme fit or anything. We're having a good year this year. We could have a, you know, career record above 50% if we were to like franchise tag this player. We might need to do that for Randall though. We have 2 players at the very top, very important to our franchise. Neither wants to be here. Unfortunately, neither of our pass rushers want anything to do with the franchise, which is just unfortunate. We'll go with Dwayne Cowan here, who does want to be here. I just want to lock up these linebackers forever, man. Can we do like a $91 million deal? Well, I lowered it too much. That's fine. We can raise it back. I think a shorter term deal would make sense here because we don't know when like the trouble starts. I don't know why I went up so much. He actually wanted to be here. That was just me doing important stuff while I was talking. Anthony Torrance wants so much money. He wants so much more than Malik Vincent did. He does want to be here though. Maybe a shorter. Let's do 20 years, but only 3 years. Up the years in the back. I don't want it. That's the whole point of my offer. Let's do a big time deal for Tyler Nance. See if we can get away with. I keep lowering too much. I'm trying. We're getting close to where money could start being a problem. $10 million a year. Finally, somebody says yes. It's about time we got a signing done. Earl Clark. 2 years. Earl Clark says yes. Everybody else we're gonna have to come back to. Like we're already there. We're already to where signing Cohen based on all these offers is too much, and we haven't even offered Lambert. We might not be able to retain. Anthony Torrance might be the one that has to go. Torrance and Lambert could both have to go. It did not take long for the demise of this team. Not the demise, but for a couple of the pieces to start to have to be taken off the roster. We'll see. Right now, as you can tell, we're 6-0. We'll see if by the end what our record is. That career coach percentage could flip. It could make Cohen much easier to sign. But we're gonna keep trying to re-sign. upping Cowan here a little bit? He says yes. Okay, so we got the linebacker duo. Nance. We'll get up to 60 million. Still not enough for him. We're already in trouble. I think Anthony Torrance isn't coming back, unfortunately. I think the CPU will do a fine job drafting corners down the road. We could even have that corner that we drafted, that zone corner. We could have him come up and play from safety back to corner. We could do that. But I think that's about all we can do. Again, I want to continue to wait on Cohen, and then we're going to have to figure out something with him and Randall. Actually, I want to continue to negotiate with Randall for that reason. $205 million. That's enough. So we have pending offers that are bringing this down. We'll get 20 more when we take off Torrance's negotiations, basically. Drafting well does come back to haunt you. Now it's 7 years, 63, $9 million a year. Nance says no. Keeps saying no despite being interested in us, which is really annoying. I'm going to make him undo that. All right, we're back with Tyler Nance. 10 million. We were arguing over 1 million a year for 7 years. Sick. So anyway, we got 52 million in space left. Cohen's gonna want all of it. So Lambert and Torrance, I hate to say it, but it's gonna be their last years. And guys like Bullocks, I don't know how we're gonna sign anybody. I don't know how we're gonna sign anybody from next year's class. It literally took 2 drafts to go from 200 million in space to 0. Tells you how good those classes were, though. Ending season 5, we got the #1 seed and a round 1 bye at 13-4. We are back. No need to do the playbook changes. We're back for at least this season. This is the last chance for the entire squad to make a run together. We've got to make it count. So let's do just that here. Who's gonna take us on in the divisional round? It will be the Cardinals. So they're 9-8, we're 13-4. Gotta win this game. At halftime, neither offense doing anything. How is our offense this bad? 2 field goals. Finally, we score a touchdown. That's likely going to be enough to win the game. It is. That was a game. That was a game here in the playoffs. A lot of defense, but ultimately we pull it out. For Tyson Cohen, only had 18 attempts. Guess we ran the ball a ton. How about why didn't we start to pass when it wasn't working that much? Odom 2 catches, but he had a touchdown. Nance allowed 2 sacks, just re-signed him to a bunch of money. Let's go. Pick for Torrance. Let's go. Had 0 all of last year somehow. We'll go over the stats as well at the end of the season, wherever that ends up being. Now, NFC Championship against the Packers. Again, nobody's scoring. 3 points. What is going on with our offense in the postseason? Is 13 points going to win it again? 16 this time? We scored 29 points total in 2 games, but we've won because our defense is insane. Will it be insane after this year? We'll see. We'll be losing a couple pieces. We're going back to the Super Bowl, though, which is, I guess, what really matters when you think about it, but not liking what I'm seeing from the offense, not giving me confidence that we'll win it come the Super Bowl. So we'll just have to find out. And now we are in the Super Bowl for this one. Black Knights going against the Chiefs. I think a much harder matchup, especially considering the quarterback they've got. Kenny Pickett was the quarterback the last Super Bowl. Now it's Patrick Mahomes. 16 and 13 points. Not going to beat Patrick Mahomes. Offense has to be better here in the bowl. So let's figure out if we win our second championship here. Kansas City first on the board. London responds with 3. And again, it's just field goals. Our defense is insane, but they can't do everything. And we tie it. We went to overtime. But our offense sucked again. It went to double overtime and we lost. What is wrong with this offense, man? What is wrong with it? That was the worst postseason offense I think I've ever seen. How are you that bad? Why is Cordova leading us in the postseason in receptions? The game gave him slot receiver, even though they said they won't update depth charts, and I had it as Odom. 3 sacks for Randall. Great job. The defense was clutch. That offensive performance was pitiful all playoffs long. They got bailed out by the defense in the divisional and in the wild card, and then they couldn't show up to play in the Super Bowl either. They had 5 quarters plus. Well, no, because the Chiefs scored right at the beginning of double overtime. They had 5 quarters to get to 20 points and they couldn't do it. That's insanely bad, man. Stats for the year: 47 touchdowns to 4 picks for Cohen, 1,200 yards for Alford. $32. Receiving touchdowns for Odom, 1,700 yards. Well, that makes up for his subpar season last season. I got an itch in my eye. $32 touchdowns. My goodness. 5 guys with double-digit TFLs. Nice. Oh, Clark got it despite his limited role. Nobody over 8 sacks. We just gave Jalen Randall over $200 million and he had a 5-sack season. What a bum. Anthony Torrance right back up there in interceptions. He just had a down year, I guess. Maybe he got injured. I wonder, that's got to be MVP for one of our 2 players in the passing game. What? Joe Burrow can go heck himself. I was going to say, if Odom is an offensive player of the year, then there's never going to be a receiver to ever do it, ever. Cohen was best QB. Alford top 4, and then Odom obviously best. Got a Brady Trout, best offensive lineman. I think that gives him superstar depth, does it not? Or he wasn't. No, he wasn't the normal dev starter. Yeah, we got another superstar lineman. Here's a look at everybody's dev trait now. Campbell's regressed. No surprise. Everyone else is the same. We never actually revealed our rookies' dev traits. I just assumed they were star. And yeah, they're both star now. I don't know if Hunter was a superstar. Forgot to check that out. Here's a look at the team now. And now Torrance is superstar and Vincent has regressed to star. We might be losing Torrance. We should have some carryover cap. I'm interested to see what our options are here. Also, after last season, I don't know if I could show these anymore either. It just takes so long to upgrade our whole team. But I think I'll just give you an update of where everybody is at the end of each season, because it takes too long to go through and manually at least show you. If I'm not going to show you, I might as well just not do it, right? So this is where we're at now. Maybe if I had upgraded, I should have upgraded before the Super Bowl. That was actually really dumb of me. But that's the look of our team. Losing in the Super Bowl. Now, a quarterback is not under contract. An edge rusher of ours is not under contract. The corner who just had 5 picks is not under contract. We gotta take a look here. At this contract season, we'll see who we can sign and who we have to lose. Couldn't help myself. Gotta offer Torrance the big deal. It's gonna be $20 million per. He accepts. We've got $52 million left, and we're gonna offer it to Tyson Cohen. He's gonna say no, and we're gonna tag him. And that's gonna be our free agency. We're down 2.1 million. I'm sure I can scrape that somebody, but we've got guys like Dakota Rich off the team now. I remember when Hunter McCoy was playing for us. Guys like Jamal Wilcox, who had a short little run for us. These guys are just options that we're not picking up, basically, because I want their year one numbers to be smaller. So then their whatever next year's 15 million is gonna be, that's just too much. So just over the cap now, but yeah, we got 65 players on our roster, so we should be able to get back into the positive cap space pretty easily. I'll see you when we get that year 5 draft. Why? A 73 overall running back, normal development in the first round. He's fast, cool. Doesn't matter. Oh my gosh. Gotta be kidding me, man. We had a starter leave the team at edge rusher. And we go, who's Edwards? Oh, it's that big guy. So we have, do we start Gaffney at outside linebacker at 311 pounds? What do we do? Oh, things are looking bad. So we got some Keontae Simmons is down to star dev. Owens is down to star dev. And offensively, everybody's the same. Cool. So only Simmons and Owens have regressed so far. Oh boy. The time has come. The reaping is here. We've only so far had to let go of one guy, but that is one key guy, I should say. That number's rising. We've got Trout, Gaffney, Bullocks, and our franchise quarterback who doesn't want to play for us. Just a little side nugget there. And nobody wants to come back. Well, no, all these guys want to come back except for Cohen, and we only have 26 million. So we have an option. Do we say Sorry, Cohen, we can't re-sign you. You don't like us. He just had 47 touchdowns last year. You can't let go of that quarterback. How long are we in heck? Is there anybody that's expiring this year? Or sorry, next year, because if they're expiring this year, it doesn't matter. We're looking at, so who are the guys that are, we already know the guys that are expiring this year. So we've got guys like Earl Clark's not coming back. We've got, how about, what would we would save? We would save a bit of money here with Fowler. No, this is the guy that's already off our books next year. We'd save a little bit by Earl Clark. I think we have to let Earl Clark go, unfortunately, for him. That $3 million is just too good. There's not anybody else who's making a lot of money next year that's expiring. There's not any, like Christian Edwards is the next highest paid guy. I paid all those guys 1 year too many years. We gotta also release Fowler just for the little bit of relief it gives us. Sorry to Fowler. I wanted him to be you just can't pay a fullback when your team's this good. I mean, the 49ers do, but oh, my stupid camera keeps, there you go. Oh my goodness. We are in the gall of bitterness. Okay. Here's the thing. We don't even have enough for going. This is not going well for our long-term sim. Madden did the whole update of people have actually started asking for more as the years go on to, you know, account for the rising salary cap. We should have done this long-term sim before that happened. We could have kept the whole squad together. We're losing all these guys. We got to keep Cohen. You can't lose Cohen. This whole the rebuild, the long-term sim doesn't fall apart without Trout. It doesn't fall apart without Gaffney, even though he's really good this rookie year, man. These are all guys that were part of the thing for 1 year. Cohen is the quarterback. You can't just say, oh, we switched quarterback in the middle of a long-term sim. That just doesn't work. We need Cohen back. We'll find a way. But we need to win a Super Bowl this year. Otherwise, this might be a 1 Super Bowl long-term sim. So, year 6, we're off to a promising start, but this might be kind of the last hurrah for, you know, the big portion of the team. Everybody but Bobby Lambert's still here, but it's not going to work out any longer. We're going to be in the negative by just franchising our quarterback again. Okay. Well, there you have it. Once again, we have secured the first round bye, and we are 15-2. Offense has to be better in the playoffs than they were last year. It's gonna be an interesting rebuild after this season. Let's go ahead and see who our divisional round opponent's gonna be. A divisional round matchup between 2 division teams. Both teams getting off to an early touchdown, but have stalled out since. Our now got them a pick, but we can't get a touchdown off of it. Settling for a field goal. We do take the 24-21 lead here late in the fourth, trying to bleed out the clock for the win, and that's exactly what we do. Philly made it tough there despite having a losing record and us being a 15-2 team. Had to bleed it out till the end. Sometimes it'd be like that with your division rivals though. So we will advance to the conference championship for the second consecutive year and the third time in 4 years. That one weird year where we missed the playoffs in between them. Nearly 300 yards for Cohen, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Bullock's out there having a big game. Touchdowns for Stephen Brandt and Doug Odom. And Randall and Simmons shared a sack. Jamal Arnett with a pick. And there you have that. Second straight matchup where we've got ourselves a team with a losing record in the regular season. So we've got a little bit of a cupcake schedule. Still though, we're not able to really just take a stranglehold of these games. Not really loving what I'm seeing here once again. We are doing a much better job of scoring. End up squeaking it out, an 8-point victory. But 2 one-score games against teams with losing records from the regular season. No touchdowns or picks for Cohen. 3 rushing touchdowns. Odom had a big day in the office. Sacks for Gaffney and Randall. A pick for Zay Hunter. And there you have it. We're going to the Super Bowl for the third time in our franchise history. Only won one. Let's go out and win a second one. It's our last ride with the boys. We gotta make the most of it. Now we are in the Super Bowl, this time against the Baltimore Ravens. So, can we get a second ring before a lot of our members start to part from us? That is the question of the day. And it will soon be answered. We've been playing in some tight games throughout these playoffs, but we marched right down the field there and get the first touchdown, get a field goal as well to get a 2-possession lead, but Baltimore brings it back down to 6 and now takes the lead. Prior to halftime, our offense stalled out there, but now has picked up and we win 28-21. Super Bowl number 2 for the London Black Knights has been acquired. Jamal Arnett cannot believe it. And we do get that kind of last hurrah to go for us. Gonna be down a key defensive lineman, a key offensive lineman, a key receiving threat this year, after this season, excuse me. And we will have to see how that turns out. Even to keep our quarterback, we're gonna have to go into the negatives of the cap. We're gonna be losing more. This is just the first wave. I guess Lambert was technically the first wave. That was a 1-person wave. Got a 3-person wave this offseason. How many are we gonna have to take off the team next year? I don't know. It's important that we keep our core players though, and Cohen's definitely one of them. As much as it would give me a lot of financial relief to change quarterback, you can't move off of Cohen here. And Odom, 128 yards and 2 touchdowns here. Where's that one guy that we drafted? Why is Brandt getting minutes over him? I gotta actually pay attention to the depth chart because Madden sucks at making them. And some sacks here, and there you have it. Super Bowl number 2 in the books for London. Tyson Cohen had a 0 interception season. A 0? 46 touchdowns, 0 picks, just under 4K yards. What is this guy? He's the touchdown interception ratio king. Move over, Aaron Rodgers. Just look at this guy. Now we're several seasons in. I'll look at these guys' entire careers when they retire. But not a good rookie year. That was me. The second year as well. But since then, 30-6, 47-4, 46-0, 93-4 is a touchdown interception ratio his last 2 seasons. Yeah, that's pretty good, I'd say. 1,400 yards and 8 touchdowns for Alford. Receiving wise, 1,300 yards and 25 touchdowns for Odom, which means he now has 57 touchdown receptions over the last 2 seasons. 57. Everybody in single digits sacks wise. TFLs, Gaffney, he'll be missed. Finally, Randall had a season worthy of the contract we gave him. We gave him so much money. Maybe Randall should have been the guy we let go. That's a lot of money we could have not had to pay. Thinking about it now, this was probably the way to go for us, honestly. So if I could go back and maybe saving that $30 million off of Jalen Randall could have helped us kept more players, but we would have lost both of our edge rushers, which I wouldn't have particularly loved. Either way, though, with the whole squad except for Lambert, they get 2 rings. Let's see if the 80% of the original squad can pick up another here. I've decided I think we're going to go up until season 10, where we'll be paying attention to every season. After season 10, I'm basically going to be checking if people retire. And when they retire, we'll give you their career stats. But I want to follow the team up until year 10, and then after that, it's just going to be the players. So year 7 on the way. I forgot to show it too, and it won't let me go back and show it anymore, but Tyson Cohen also won MVP this last season, and so great for him. Nice to see our franchise quarterback winning his first MVP award with his 46-0 touchdown interception ratio. No other awards for the team though. So time to look. Ramon Gaffney going down to star makes me feel better about him leaving. I think we will try to bring back. Oh, so his interest level is up because we finally got to 500% win percentage. That's what I was hoping to get. Let's go 50 million a year. 5-year, 250 million. We got our franchise quarterback. Only 4 million left, which means we can actually franchise a player now. Who do we franchise tag? Out of all these guys, who are we bringing back? Do you bring back the superstar dev lineman? He's going to be the cheapest going forward. He wants like 13 million a year. He wants over 20. He wants 13-ish as well. So Bullocks and Trout want similar numbers. I mean, all the passes are going to Odom. I feel like we got to bring back the superstar offensive lineman. Obviously, we can't. So we gotta. I gotta bring out an offer that he's gonna hate for like 0 money, and then once he rejects it, we will franchise tag. Bada bing, bada boom. He's franchise tagged. We're 10 million in the hole. We're fighting through it, baby. We will survive. Another draft down the barrel. What do we get? We got a right end. He looks like an actual edge rusher. So he'll play right outside linebacker for us. Because we need him to play edge rusher more than we need him to play end. And everyone else in the draft sucked. So not a great draft. We're under some pressure to keep our core together because the CPU is not doing a good job of filling in the cracks. But year 6 is officially down the books now. Let's get into year 7. Starting year 7, here is what the roster looks like. Odom, Campbell, and our guy, what's his name? Aragon should actually start playing now. Unfortunate that the CPU wasn't playing him before. I should have definitely looked though. But our defense is not what it once was. In fact, we should probably just have Hunter starting at free safety. Now that we have lost our other guy, so he'll just be a full-time player now rather than, even though he pretty much was a full-time player. Any package that had a slot, Keontae Simmons was playing it, and then Hunter was playing safeties, so he was only not playing in the base package. But now he's playing in everything. But we only have 2 guys with abilities now. It's Randall and Arnett at X Factor. All the other superstars are down to start, including Cowan. Offensively, we have an X Factor here in Heath Curtis. Interesting. I'll take it. Yeah, this is the first year where the team looks different, so I just wanted to give an update at the beginning of the season. I'll probably start doing this more often now because these guys are getting later in their careers. As you can see, a lot of their depth traits are going to be regressing. Just to get an updated look at the team. But here we go. We've become an offensive team, I'd say, at this point. At this point, our offense looks more impressive than our defense. We still have, a lot of the core defenders. We don't have the, what was it, like 8 guys with abilities on the field at the same time, which was nuts. We actually have more guys with abilities now on offense, which is not something I was expecting. We're screwed. Minus 40 million. Minus 40 million. Nobody's coming back. Maybe Brady Trout on a tag. So, yeah, well, there's no sense even talking about re-signs here. Brady Trout can come back on a tag. 11-5 here in year 7. Unfortunately, no round 1 bye. Didn't even win the division, but still a really solid record. We're going against San Francisco, who, at least unless they've changed coaches, which they certainly might have, will be having the same playbook as us. So that should be interesting. Still, we look to be the superior team despite some of the losses we've taken. Still a really strong core roster. And yeah, we have some weaknesses, but our strengths far outweigh them at this point. And of course, looking at that sheet, how deep in the hole we were for next year. I don't know how much longer that's going to last. We might not even last to year 10 following this team. If it gets to a point where we've had to remove like half the roster, then at that point we're just looking for the players to retire and taking a look at their career stats. Not looking good for us getting out of the divisional round in this year. I'll just say that. So 2 years after we win the Super Bowl, the first one we missed the playoffs entirely. The second one we're down in the wild card round, which isn't quite as bad as a slump, especially considering we won 11 games, but not enough to win, not enough to go far in the playoffs and make any kind of run here. So just horrible running the ball. There we go. Out here, had a good week. I wonder if he played slot and if he had the big year this year, because I had to manually put him in. Might have put him in the slot position. We'll see. But if so, that's fine. I'd prefer it to be Odom because then it makes his career stats look a lot better. But now that this season's over, let's take a look at the team. See what we did. 4,000 yards for again. What is this guy? 40 touchdowns to 1 interception, which now means he has like 120. Is it 130 touchdowns to 5 interceptions his last few years? No, it's 133 touchdowns to 5 interceptions his last 3 years. That's the most insane ratio I've ever seen in my life. 1,400 yards and 13 touchdowns. Yeah, it looks like Aragon did take the slot. I'll make sure Odom's back in it next year for sure. It takes a lot of manual babying because they don't know how to manage rosters right on their own. 9.5 sacks for Randall. Nobody had double digits. 6 picks for Anthony Torrance. So glad we ended up making the decision to bring him back. I don't know if Malik Vincent's making another contract with us. I think if I had to only keep one corner, which looks like it might be the case, I think it's going to be Torrance. So there you have it at the end of this season. We'll see if anybody won any awards, and then we'll be done here. Tyson Cohen, back-to-back MVPs. Like it. And then across the positions, best quarterback, makes sense, your MVP. And best defensive back, Anthony Torrance. So I like that. Let's I'm gonna see if there's any money appears out of nowhere just in the offseason, but I doubt it'll be more than 40 million. So I think it's gonna be just franchise tagging Trout the center, and that's pretty much all we're gonna be able to do. Well, we did find a little bit more money. It was now negative 27 million. I'm gonna hide my face cam for a minute just to see the button for withdraw offer, because I think you need that. Oh, if you withdraw offer, you can't offer the franchise tag then. Aragon just had a nice season, got himself star dev with it, and he's gone. Oh man, oh man, oh man. So no, not even a franchise tag. We lose 2 starting linemen, starting safety, starting receiver, and 3 receiver sets. 3 starting linemen. Oh, 3 of our starting linemen are gone. We have our tackles. Our entire interior is gone. Oh, yep. All right, here we go. The post-year 7 draft. Good safety. We needed that. We just lost our safety. Hidden dev, 21 years old. There we go. I like that. Good wide receiver. Replaced the guy we lost. Normal dev, but 73 overall with our 2nd round pick. I like that. 2 players. None of them offensive linemen. We got a 64 overall center and a 67 overall guard. We are set. We waited till the 6th round to replace the 3 linemen that we lost. Updated look at the roster here ahead of season 8 now. Odom X Factor, Cohen X Factor, Curtis the blocking tight end also X Factor, Nance still superstar. Interior offensive line is abysmal. I did have put Doug Odom in the slot this year, so we should be playing slot receiver. Hopefully his numbers jump back up to where he should be. Offense gets back up to where it should be, etc., etc. Arnaud is down to superstar. Arnaud is down to superstar. How old is he at this point? Still 28. He's already going down. I disagree, but it's fine. It's fine. Torrance superstar. Edwards up to superstar. Nice. Randall still at X Factor. So we got that hidden dev safety, and here we are. Got ourselves a solid 3rd quarter here in Porter, and the team looking pretty good still, I'd say, apart from this interior offensive line. That's our one big weakness. Apart from that, I think the team looks really good. I think Drummond is a good compliment to offer too. I mean, I made fun of the pick before. The guy who's receiving / elusive back, but that's exactly what he had in Kershaw. So he's just kind of that replacement, except he's faster. So I think offensively we're good except for interior line. I think defensively we're good. We have weaknesses, but we also have strengths to kind of help hide those weaknesses in those same position groups. So let's see what our re-sign situation here is in year 8. Cap situation. We are out of the negatives next year, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 starters, and it looks like a good backup here. 28 million is obviously not nearly enough for any of these guys. Jackson now wants 20 million a year. Warren Owens. So here's the reality. I'm always going to prioritize re-signing guys that were from the series over guys that were drafted by the CPU. So like Casey Edwards, sick player, probably should be the priority here. 83, 24 superstar. Maybe even with cases like him, he could be. But like Alford and Campbell, Vincent and Owens and Jackson, those guys are just more important because they're part of our original team. But Edwards is one of the few. He doesn't have any interest. If Edwards had interest, I'd probably prioritize him just because he is, you know, the young superstar of this team, where a lot of these guys are more old. Alford definitely needs to come back to become a superstar here. I want to talk him down a little bit, maybe to 13 million a year.
Don't try to exploit my passion again. Okay, dude.
This guy wants 20 million a year. He hasn't had a 1,000-yard receiving season for us in forever, and he wants 20 million. Everybody wants well over $20 million a year. We can't do it. It's gonna be Alford and one other player. Who's that player gonna be between Campbell, probably not Vincent, Owens, and Jackson? We lost 3 linemen last year. I don't think we can lose another one. I think my next priority is gonna be Michael Jackson, the football player. Obviously, we still got to actually get to a number that Alford will accept, as well, as we are currently just 3-4 in the season. Not a great first half. So 3-5. Oof, might be a lost season. $1 more million a year, 42. That does it. Michael Jackson. We don't even have enough for one more player. We have 15 million. All these guys want more than 20. How much do you want? We could sign Aragon. Or it's Casey Edwards. He says yes. Okay. That's it. So we can tag one of Jackson, Owens, Campbell, and Vincent. We're losing 3 guys. 3 more guys are going down the drain, unfortunately, at the end of this year. Things are getting rough here in London. 7-10 this season in year 8. For the first time in quite a while, we're not even a playoff team since year 4. That's the last time that happened. So we're just going straight to stats and awards for the year. 36-7. I'm disappointed, man. That's only like a 5-to-1 ratio. A little under that, but 1,000 yards for Alford, 13 touchdowns. 1,200 yards, 14 touchdowns. Odom's back in form in his slot receiving position. Michael Jackson, the football player, allowed 10 sacks. Double-digit TFLs for Anderson and Randall. 9 sacks for Randall led us. Edwards was 7, signed him back. Jamal Arnett was 7 as well. 2 picks for each Simmons and Torrance, and 11 deflections for Arnett. He continues to be a stud for us. And just 7-10 though. And suddenly we're back negative. The last time I looked at this, we had +4. The salary cap makes no sense. Which means we can't even franchise tag one of them, and we're losing all 4 of them. Paul Campbell, no longer a Black Knight. Malik Vincent. Here's my camera back. No longer a Black Knight. Aragon, he was drafted by the CPU. Warren Owens, no longer a Black Knight. Michael Jackson, our 4th lineman. Tyler Nance is the only that remains. We're getting to the point where it might be time to just start paying attention to how this team, to all of these guys' retirements, because this team is starting to look very different. We'll have Cohen, Alford, and Odom, and Nance. We'll have 4 players from the offense. That's it. And we'll have from the defense Arnaud, Randall, Simmons, and Torrance. Yeah, that's more than half the team gone. I think at this point, we're done following the team. I kept them together as long as I could. It just, a lot of people didn't want to be here, so we had to overpay them. And so now, from here on out, the only thing we'll be checking in on is when somebody retires, we'll go over their career stats. And that'll be it. So we will see you the next time when people start retiring. Nobody's retired yet. I imagine it'll be a couple of years before we start seeing the first batch of retirements rolling in. Our first retirement would be tackle Tyler Nance. After 11 seasons, the retirements would kick off here in 2035. And in his time with us, I thought he was pretty solid. A little bit of a disappointment for a superstar tackle, I'd say. But we did draft him at 23, which just really solidified the death knell for drafting 23-year-old linemen for the future. Even a superstar 78 overall couldn't make it for us. Lucas Fowler would also retire here in the 2035 off season. He had a pretty solid career for us, made the Pro Bowl 6 times. A lot of his stats came with us. His time in Pittsburgh and Atlanta didn't net him too much in the way of stats. Always tried to get him involved, and he was a very fun player. I'm glad we were able to pick him up. Warren Owens would retire after 12 years. He would retire as an Arizona Cardinal. Unfortunately, we couldn't keep too many of our players for very long, but Warren Owens was an awesome nose tackle who showed a little bit more pass rush upside than your typical nose. He had that 9-sack season with us, but in simulation, he was definitely more of a TFL guy. Malik Vincent, our corner 2, originally drafted to be our corner 1, but really solid player, finished his career with the Bucks, retires here after 12 seasons, ends up with 19 picks, only made it to the Pro Bowl 1 time, but definitely a very solid corner 2 player. Doug Odom would also secretly retire without showing up on that screen. Very good career for him. 1,300 yards, 146 touchdowns. Made the Pro Bowl 6 times. Was Offensive Player of the Year, Best Receiver, and Receptions Leader 1 time as well. And of course was Rookie of the Year his first season. Awesome career. Was the focal point of our offense while he was there. Also put in some rushing stats. I didn't include those in this column, but that's 15-ish rushing touchdowns that you can add on to his total. Just due to being in the 49ers package for so long in his career. Marcus Alford, our starting running back, would call it a career after 12 seasons. And as we saw, he was excellent in simulation. Ends up being a 5-time Pro Bowler, 141 touchdowns. So both Odom and Alford just racking in the touchdowns. I imagine that got to put them on the map historically. We will look at where people rank historically at the very end of the retirements. Jalen Randall would also call it quits after 12 years. We're seeing, 12-year careers being kind of the norm here. He ends up being a 9-time Pro Bowler, 6 times best linebacker, 120 sacks for him. I think only had a couple of really dominant seasons, but he was always at least 9 sacks. A really good number 1, but I wouldn't say, a dominant one. Jamal Arnaud, I think undeniably the best player in our series. Unfortunately, does not retire with us. He plays 3 seasons with Vegas. Only made the Pro Bowl 4 times, but that is not an indictment of what this player was. He was just an insane player for our team. Paul Campbell, our wide receiver too. He didn't have many 1,000-yard receiving seasons, but one of them was our first Super Bowl year, I should say. Ended up with only 2 seasons over 1,000 yards total, but over 10,000 yards, so very consistently around that 800, 900 mark. Made the Pro Bowl twice in those 2,000-yard seasons. Bobby Lambert, one of our biggest steals of the series. Drafted him in the 4th or 5th round. Ended up being an X factor for some time. Sacks-wise, wasn't all too impressive, but he had a nice TFL number and made the Pro Bowl a couple times, which, I mean, for, again, a day 3 pick, that's pretty dang good. Michael Jackson, the football player, retires after 14 years pro. Just a very solid pass protector. Some of these sacks allowed numbers wouldn't necessarily tell you that, but he did make the Pro Bowl once. A solid lineman, but not a spectacular one. Keontae Simmons, one of my favorite players here. Played 2 seasons with Jacksonville, but played the majority of his career with us. 26 TFLs, 12 forced fumbles, made the Pro Bowl 3 times. Just a great guy that could fill several roles for your defense. And one of my favorite players in this franchise and on this defense. Another one of those players, the second half of the greatest linebacking duo this channel has ever seen, and honestly might ever see, is Dwayne Cowan. A lot of these numbers are eerily similar to Jamal Arnaud, honestly. They're within just a couple percentage points of each other. And so these two were just dominant. Cowan had a little bit more in the awards, though. Just a delight of a linebacking tandem. Anthony Torrance here also retires in the year 2038, and he'd end up with 97 deflections, 36 interceptions, 5 times Pro Bowl, 2 times the best defensive back, and 2 times interception leader. Only played he played several seasons without us. What am I talking about? But best defensive back, best corner at least in this series, if not defensive back overall. And then Tyson Cohen would call it quits after a 17-year career. He'd play 1 year as a backup with the Jets, which I just wish he didn't do, because then he could have been a career London Black Knight guy, which is pretty disappointing. But just 63,000 yards, 527 touchdowns to 77 interceptions. Over 4,000 yards rushing with 35 touchdowns on top of that. Won MVP 4 times. Led the league in passer rating 6 times, 10 times Pro Bowler. Just ended up being one of the best quarterbacks. Not the best, I would say, but probably he's in the top 10 quarterbacks all-time conversation. And speaking all-time, let's go ahead and see if anybody ranks in the top 10 or so anywhere. Cohen would be number 7 all-time in passing touchdowns, and consider that touchdown to interception ratio. That's why I think he's in the top 10 discussion, despite not being anywhere on that list yardage-wise. And wouldn't have Alford here touch the yardage. He'd be just outside. He's about 200 yards short of that list. He would end up being number 9 all-time in touchdowns, though. That's just what you're going to see a little bit here. Is scoring-wise, we were up there with the best, but we just didn't have the yardage. Maybe not as much longevity. A lot of these guys played like 12 seasons, and if they played 14 or 15, they probably end up here in yards as well. Again, in terms of catches and yards, nobody represented from our team, but you go to touchdowns, and Odom sits there at number 6. Had a couple of just insanely high years there to help boost that. So nobody represented at all in any of the yards categories, but we had a representative in the top 10 for all touchdown categories. Nobody would end up being an all-time sack getter. I don't think we had that dominant pass rusher. That was maybe the one thing the defense was missing, but we had good enough pass rush between all of them that I don't think we didn't really need the one dominant guy. And now going for individual seasons, you see Cohen up here a couple times with his high 40s touchdown seasons. In 2028 and 2029, when he had, I think it combined like 2 interceptions those 2 years or something too. It was absolutely insane. We didn't have any significant rushing seasons for yardage, but do we have any for touchdowns. No, he was more just kind of, always getting 10 plus. He never had the massive rushing touchdown seasons, did Alford. Odom has the 2 highest in NFL history, and then a guy that we drafted in our long-term sim has the 3rd. So we were all about getting our number 1 guy those end zone touches. The 2 best scoring seasons in NFL history at wide receiver for Doug Odom is pretty dang good. We have no representatives here either. So I think that's going to pretty much do it here in terms of the historic stats. If you think about Hall of Famers, I think we would have had a couple: Tyson Cohen, Doug Odom, and Marcus Alford for sure. I think both of our linebackers could have made it. I think Torrance could have made it as well. We end up winning 4 Super Bowls, 2 extra Super Bowls here in the little sim I did between retirements for McLean. Ended up winning 6 conference championships. So we went 4-2 in the Super Bowl. Only Andy Reid, I guess, has a better resume than us, although it's much more close than that legacy would tell you. I guess Reid probably just had more years, which would contribute to the additional legacy there. But overall, I think a team that did a lot of good. Let's look at those Super Bowl seasons. When's the last time we won the Super Bowl? It'd be 2038. Tyson Cohen was the MVP of that Super Bowl. We also lost the year prior, so we had a stretch of 2 straight Super Bowl appearances. And then we would also win in 2032. So those were the 2 Super Bowls that you didn't see. 2032 and 2039. Jamal Arnaud, the MVP of that one. So there you have it. That is the completion of the story of the London Black Knights. And it is time for Coach McLean to retire from the league. Incredible judge of talent, but you weren't always the best at putting the talent to use. What are you talking about? We won 4 Super Bowls and made 6. You fell short of your lofty coaching goals. I disagree. We're the 2nd best coach all time. I don't know what you're talking about, bro. That will be the retirement and end of the story. This game doesn't know what it's talking about with that message. I hope you enjoyed this series, however short it may have been. We got another series in the works that will be coming out soon for Madden 24. It'll be CPU versus CPU, and I'm very excited for it. And that series will be starting soon. And I will see you then.